WCTV Eyewitness News. The Good Morning Show starts now.
All right, lots to talk about. Helene, still a tropical storm, still getting bigger and stronger. Today is going to be a day to watch and see. I will have updates, I promise, and not just here on the morning news, but all day long.
And animal shelters in the Big Bend asking for the public's help to make sure pups are safe ahead of the storm. How you can sign up to foster a furry friend. Nobody wants to shelter in place alone, and nobody wants to travel alone either. So if you're doing all of those things, seriously check out your local shelters. I'll hop on this bandwagon every day, all day. I could talk about this topic forever. Your cats too. Let's take them with us. They are part of us.
Sure.
I claim my furry friends grew inside me, so.
Okay.
They are my kids.
That seems like a whole different discussion for a very different time.
They are my kids, and they will go with me where I go.
We got lots to get to. The story, of course, is going to be right now Tropical Storm Helene. Here's what it looks like on the big picture, and you can see some of these darker colors that are right up against Cancun, right up against the Yucatan. It feels like some of the bigger thunderstorms right now are actually on the western side of that core, which is still developing. Now, once this gets past that little Yucatan channel and starts to get into the Gulf, we expect it not just to get bigger, but start to get much more strong and defined, and then we'll see how this is going to resist some of the other factors in play. But that water of the Gulf is really, really warm, and there aren't as many things in its way once it gets a little bit north to weaken it a little tiny bit. Some of the things that will steer it will still play a role. There's higher pressure off the Atlantic coast. There's going to be a trough and a boundary way off to the north. That's what's actually bringing us some showers today, and that will play a role in where it goes, and we'll have to watch that over the next 24 hours to see what kind of shifts it makes, because it still will wobble a little bit. For today, we're going to find some showers and storms in places, seeing some in Wakulla and in Franklin and Liberty County already. Nothing to do with the tropical system. That's going to be a tomorrow thing. Today, we've got all this warm, humid, unstable air in place, and we've got a boundary making its way into our part of the southeast. That's what's going to trigger some showers and some thunderstorms. So that's going to have to get factored into your preparatory plans for today, because we are going to have some periods of on again, off again showers and storms. I see 77 at the Tallahassee airport, 72 in Thomasville, Valdosta's at 73, and Perry's at 75. Most of us today are probably going to top out in the mid-80s. That's it. Not as hot as the past couple of days. Very humid today, but we'll have more clouds. We will have some showers, and these are independent of Helene. That is going to be a tomorrow thing. I'll break it all down. We will take a look at the details and all the stuff that come with the tropical system in just a couple of minutes.
And on the coast, the main focus is evacuations. Today, Franklin County is upgrading to a mandatory evacuation for the area. That's effective starting at noon. Mandatory evacuations are also in effect for Wakulla and Taylor counties. In Lafayette County, theirs will go into effect at 8 a.m. on Thursday for anyone in a mobile home, RV, or low-lying area. Now, at this time, voluntary evacuations are in effect in Jefferson and Madison counties. And as Franklin County residents pack up and brace for the storms, we caught up with one of them following those evacuation orders. One homeowner in Alligator Point says he's boarding up his home. He lives just feet away from the water. Now, he says the road in front of his house floods often, even during minor weather events. He's worried this storm could bring water all the way up to his windows.
Oh yeah, real concern, because this house has been here 60 years, so the water may flow through it, and then it may just go out the back door, so the windows are what we're trying to protect, because if they give, then it's just waves and asphalt going through the house, which is never good.
He says he'll be cutting the power off and leaving town.
One of the things I say all the time, by the way, is your area, you know where you live, you know what it's like. Alligator Point, that road washes out on a regular Tuesday thunderstorm. Right. So it's something to keep in mind, and that's part of the reason.
And those are questions we get often, right? Often. Evacuation orders, when to heed to those warnings. Right. That right there. You know your house, you know your home. For sure. So you do what makes you feel safest. Absolutely. Now, Taylor County bracing for another hit from the tropics. People in Perry spending their Tuesday getting sandbags, boarding up windows. Some saying they didn't want to take any chances, with many still feeling the effects from Debbie and Adelia. Now, Taylor County Emergency Management meeting with state officials yesterday. They've got that mandatory evacuation order for everyone in the area because of the potential impacts from Helene. Some say that they're trying to get ahead of it as much as possible.
For years and years, we didn't have any kind of storm here. I always thought the water was too shallow for a storm to actually come in here. And now we've had too two in a year.
It's very important to get prepared beforehand and stay away till the last minute. Last minute, you never know, you might get caught in it or the supplies might have been run out. So it's very important to get them ahead of time.
Taylor County officials are putting a curfew in effect from sunrise to sunset, or from sunset to sunrise. Emergency management is stressing the mandatory evacuation order, saying they don't want people stranded and that they're not going to send first responders out until it's safe. And that's another thing to go over. The evacuation orders are for everyone's safety, including the first responders. So if you're not there, they don't have to come rescue you.
And I know that when those mandatory evacuations go into effect, depending on the county, it's between 40 and 45 miles per hour. So once those wind speeds hit that degree, threshold, right? Yeah. That threshold, there we go, is the word that I'm searching for. They cannot go on the road to go get you. That is for their safety as well. So they can't do that till the storm passes. So
and we think of the St. George Island Bridge as one of those locations where they shut the bridge down once the winds get up over 35 miles per hour. But that's going to be for other areas. And when we start talking about those potential storm surges, and they're potential, just because the maps and the computers say it could be 10 to 15 feet doesn't mean it will be that much.
Or for that entire area too, right?
But you have to plan for it. Because it can happen, and you don't want to be there if it does. So all the people that were asking me yesterday, you know, what should I do? My answer is always, if you can be someplace else instead of being where the storm is going,
then do it.
I would choose to be someplace else. I understand it's not easy, and it's expensive sometimes, and it's not something that everyone has the means or ability to do. But it's always better to be prepared, even if you didn't need to be, than be stuck someplace and wish you had been someplace else.
Yeah, better to be safe than sorry, of course. Yes. So Taylor County is just one of several districts closing this week and pausing all school activities. So today, Wakulla and Franklin are also closing. Madison and Suwannee will be closed tomorrow through Friday. FAMU, FSU, and TSC are also closed through the weekend. Leon County schools are closing early today and will be closed for the rest of the week. Several of those schools will be opening this evening at 6 p.m. as a shelter for those that are trying to get away from the storm. So that includes Childs, Godby, Leon, Lincoln, and Sale, as well as Fort Braden School and Fairview Middle School.
Now, certain events across Leon County are canceled ahead of Helene, and utility trucks are now already on standby. If you've got Talcon Electric or utilities through the city of Tallahassee, they've called for mutual aid, and trucks are staging. A local state of emergency is declared. This allows Leon County to access federal and state money to open shelters both during and after the storm. The county will be hosting a press briefing later on today.
And in Gadsden County, the storm is prompting a call for help from Champ's Chance Dog Rescue. The shelter is trying to make sure all of the animals are safe inside a foster home ahead of this tropical system. There's usually about 50 dogs at a time. That the goal is to empty the kennels before the storm and for them to have somewhere safe to go for at least the next week. So officials say if you'd like to help, you must complete a foster application and bring your ID in order to pick up a pup.
There's so many dogs that still need a home, and even if you're only able to do it for just the storm, it's very, very helpful, because then the people who volunteer here will have to take in so many dogs at once. So I think it's great to have one that you can give all the love to for the next week or so.
Champ's Chance is also in need of volunteers to prepare the rescue and help get the dogs out of the kennels to foster. Now, this Champ's Chance was also hit by those tornadoes on May 10th, and they're still recovering from that. They will provide food and a leash, collars, and all the essentials that you need if you do come to foster a dog. Now, we also talked with Paula Vervish over in the Suwannee County Animal Shelter. They're also looking for storm fosters. She says some dogs are in standalone kennels, which are not durable for storms, but that's the same thing in many of our other partnering counties. Partners for Pets in Mariana also searching for fosters, for temporary fosters at this time. So just be sure you check your local shelters and rescues in your area to see if they are in need of any resources at all. Also, if you're traveling with an animal, make sure you pack their medication and the food for whenever you're traveling or wherever you're traveling, and all those required essentials that will be needed to take care of your pet. So for more information about how you can become a storm foster, you can find those details in this story at WCTV.tv. All right, it is 5:41. Meteorologist Rob Nucatola is here with a breakdown of what Helene may be.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot tomorrow for sure. We're going to find different reasons for showers today. A boundary in the area will probably squeeze out some, and we're seeing some already this morning, and that will limit where the temperatures go. A lot of us are starting in the 70s, and a lot of us are going to end up someplace in the low and mid 80s today. You can see some of the activity for parts of Leon County, parts of Gadsden County now south of I-10, more for much of western Wakulla, and starting to lift out of Franklin County. And we'll see a few more of these showers develop this morning. We'll see a few more develop in places this afternoon. afternoon as we have this very warm, soupy air mass in place, and this boundary to our north is putting the squeeze on a little bit. So that's where today's showers and storms are coming from. They're not coming from the tropical system that is way down to the south. Now, throughout the day tomorrow, as this storm grows, not just in intensity, but in size, we're going to see those bands of rain start to do their thing and start to push that water up against the coast starting early tomorrow, and it will spread north throughout the day. This should be a one-day deal, in, out, and done, but it's likely to bring quite a bit of rain, a lot of wind, and a lot of water up against the coast, and that is going to be our primary concerns. Here's where it is now, starting to get into that little space between Cuba and the Yucatan. There's quite a bit of convection now on the western side of the storm. We'll see how that wraps around, and once it gets a little bit more to the north, over those warmer waters away from any of those land areas, I think we're going to see this start to get a bit stronger and maybe a whole bunch stronger and quickly. 65-mile-per-hour sustained winds near that core, which is much easier to define now. It'll get a lot easier and more classic looking later on today as it emerges a little bit more to the north. That motion to the northwest at 9 will start to shift back towards the north and even northeast as we get those other steering mechanisms in play. Higher pressure off the Atlantic coast and a big trough digging across the south central United States, and that's going to kind of create a channel for this to ride up in. How far east or west? It will move a little bit. That's why we don't focus solely on that cone or solely on that icon. We look at the entire cone. So by tomorrow afternoon, while that cone is a lot smaller, it still encompasses quite a bit of space, and we'll be able to shrink that even more as we get closer to it. So we'll have lots of updates, I promise. This should get in and get up over land and start to weaken by late Thursday, early Friday. And then during the day on Friday, while it's bringing some rain to parts of the central United States, I think we're done with it. And now we just have to watch and see as that fizzles out. As far as our temperature setup for today goes, most of us between like 70 and 77 this morning, and I don't expect they're going to move all that much. This afternoon, we're probably going to top out in the mid-80s, that's all. It'll start to get a little bit more breezy. Today, the wind's more from the east and southeast. It'll get much more windy tomorrow as the storm itself gets closer. And here's the future cast. We can see some of those showers at times today, both east and west, so it's not like it's going to be confined to one area, but I do suspect we're going to find showers and thunderstorms at times today, and a lot of the stuff, especially early, it's got nothing to do with Helene. It's going to rain all over the place tomorrow, so be ready for that, and it's going to be a wet and wild day. It's starting to feel like Friday we can clear out, and if that's the case, we look forward a pretty decent weekend to clear up and clean up. But I think tomorrow is going to be the busy day. We'll have lots of updates throughout the day today. Today is your final chance to make those preparations, so take care of the boats, take care of the homes, take care of the pets, take care of everything. And if you do need to be someplace else for tomorrow, find a way to be someplace else.